Most of you heard of Shark Week. Well, this is Rail Week. We're going to talk about railroads. There's a video on my website already that talks about equipment sizes, kind of gives you some of the background of the railroad. The part I want to talk about today is how significant the intermodal rail portion of the Union Pacific and the Burlington Northern Santa Fe, which are the two east-west continental railroads that operate. You can see from the route map that's behind me that the UP's routes stop in the Midwest. Burlington Northern Santa Fe runs a little farther in the southern part all the way to Atlanta. But if you're trying to move a container, double-stack container off a ship to New York, the UP only goes part of the way. Well, they connect with another railroad, the CSX or the Norfolk Southern, to make the full route. And that's through what are called interchange agreements. You don't see that as a shipper, it's just that there's two different railroads that are handling that particular container and rail car that goes through that. The other thing that's important to realize is with the ships getting bigger and bigger, the ocean carrier ships getting bigger and bigger, many of them can't get through the Panama Canal. And consequently, that's what brings the cargo to Southern California. And a key part of that is those ships carry about a third of their cargo is destined for the western 13 states. That means the other part of the cargo is moving somewhere else. It's moving into the south or the northeast or the Midwest, and that's where this intermodal rail becomes so critical. In order for there to be rail cars to handle those containers from the West Coast into the Midwest, there has to be freight that moves from the Midwest and east to California to bring the underlying dwell car or rail car out here. And usually they're filled with 53-foot domestic containers. And because you have a lot of consumption in Southern California, products like paper towels and Kellogg's Corn Flakes and things that you buy at the grocery store are loaded up in those trailers and helps position those rail cars out. So the railroad has to do a good job of balancing their rail equipment, not only their engines, but the rail cars that carry the containers on top of them. Okay? The key thing to remember is the most efficient, carbon-friendly, cost-effective way of moving freight domestically is via rail. Now there's box cars and there's other specialized rail cars and rail service for other segments. I'm just talking primarily about the general commodities that are imported and domestically manufactured for consumption. One last point that I'll make to you is that the rail industry is historically has not been customer focused. In fact, one of my colleagues used to suggest that a retail customer to a railroad is a coal company because they're really into the commodity business. And so they have intermediaries called intermodal marketing companies that are the interface between the railroad themselves and the retail shipper. So keep that in mind. And Up Cities is one of them. Alliance Shippers is another one. Okay? So that should bring you up to speed, the latest on information on railroads. Okay, the other point I want to make is it's important that we try to get everybody to complete this class. If you have difficulties or you need additional help, be sure to email us so we can provide that to you. If you have any questions, email that to us so that we can address that in our weekly videos and or via emails. Any suggestions you have on how to make this more productive for you, create more utility for you in your education, be sure to let us know that as well. Okay, I'll see you next week.